Today we have Greg Davies from the Davies Charitable Foundation joining me to talk about a quickly mobilized initiative that got over $500,000 in grocery gift cards to people affected by COVID-19. Now, the Davies Charitable Foundation has spearheaded Kingston Friends Feeding Friends project, but in partnership with the Partners in Mission Food Bank, No Frills Supermarkets, and many other generous Kingstonians to provide all these gift cards. Greg, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess just start off, how did this come to be? Tell us more about the initiative.
Well, you'll remember right around March break when the Ontario government announced that small businesses in Ontario were going to have to close. We were going to have to start separating ourselves. It was just such a foreign concept for everybody. We're all used to it now, but at the time, the thing that struck me the strongest was all the people that I would normally see on Princess Street, shops, in the different restaurants, in the different bars. Just the visualization that they were all going to be out of work struck me quite profoundly, and that was the impetus to then begin to try to create a fund to help those people, and not just the people on Princess Street, but all throughout our community who are working in small businesses that were going to have to close.
Well, I mean, you nailed it, Greg. I remember a stat I've read for years, but 98% of the Canadian economy is small to medium-sized businesses. So you really, I can see, yeah, like just think of those numbers, and we're seeing it and feeling it. So I guess tell me kind of the inner workings of it. How did it get going? So you saw that. You started to, I'm sure, talk with other people in the community. Just tell me a little bit long of how you did such an amazing thing in honestly quite short a period of time.
Sure. Well, this is a time of the year where the Davies Charitable Foundation does some of its gifting, and we were going to spend about $100,000 at this time of the year. We'd actually already started a competition. We picked the winners of that competition, and the first thing I did was I called them and said, I'm sorry, we cannot give to you right now. You've got great programs, but we need to help more people than just your particular program. And they very graciously agreed for us to delay until next year. We're looking forward to supporting them next year. But then we had $100,000, and the thought came to my mind, well, what if I could leverage that with some of the other strong philanthropists in Kingston, like Britt Smith and Walter Fenelon and Linda Ann Daly, and the Henderson Foundation and the Gibson Foundation, the Robinson family, the Abramsky family, and Benai Brith are all the donors who, within 48 hours and a few phone calls, I was able to pull together $500,000.
It's just, honestly, like.
Well, these are very generous people who are used to being generous, and to a person, when I spoke to them, they wanted to do something. They just needed the idea of where to put their funds to help.
So you mobilized everyone, and then that next step. So how did you bring in maybe the food bank you guys chose? Why the food bank, and how did you kind of approach that?
Yeah, the first person I approached was Tina Bailey at the Community Foundation. The Community Foundation is really connected into our community. They're giving funds out to all kinds of different groups in need and supporting the arts and health and education. They're really into everything. And I knew that Tina would be able to help me figure out, who to get connected with. I was then connected with Mayor Patterson and his senior staff. And as foundations, we can't give money to individuals, but we can give to charitable organizations. And that's when we got introduced to Dan Irwin at the Partners in Mission Food Bank here in Kingston. And he immediately saw the connection between what we were trying to do and what they do on a day-to-day basis at the food bank.
So as people are watching this, how can others get involved? How can people help?
Sure. Well, if first of all, the way that the program works is that employers in Kingston would go to our website, which is relief.kingstonfoodbank.ca. They then register their business there, and with the permission of their employees, they then invite the employees to receive an e-gift card, which goes directly to their email. They can then use the e-gift card barcode. They can either print it off or just show the phone at the No Frills or Loblaws cashier when they go to check out. So at the website, there is a donate page option there, so they can donate. The donation does go to the food bank, and there's a drop-down list of where you would like your donation to go. And so it's Kingston's Friends Feeding Friends is the program that we've got. We've had lots of donations so far. And we've also had the opportunity to help lots of Kingstonians. We have already distributed pretty close to 1,500 of these gift cards. So that's $150,000 back into the community. But we have more, and we want more small businesses to reach out to us. Thank you for having me on the show. This is just another way to let the small businesses in Kingston know that we're here to try to help them.
So I guess just thinking about this, like what's something that inspired you, like, or what have you noticed in the last kind of month and a bit of putting this together? Of, you know, is there a personal story or reflection you can have based upon you just people coming together?
Well, you nailed it already. Is that, you know, that's what you love about Kingston. Well, this is what I love about Kingston. Kingston, you know, is a small, big city. I'm fortunate enough to have, you know, my family's been here for a number of generations. I know lots of people. Been fortunate enough to be involved with the Davies Charitable Foundation. We're used to connecting with other people and putting projects together. That's, you know, what we've been doing for the last 30 years this year. So when I called the other donors, again, every one of them just wanted to help right away. And that's the kind of city that Kingston is.
Well, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be interviewing you, Greg, and I know you're one that represent many strong people that have come together for this. Is there anything I might have missed or you want to reinforce with the interview?
Yeah, I do want to point out the person who did all the, you know, behind the scenes work for me. His name is Dave Rossborough from Light Body Marketing, and Dave has done some work for me on other projects related to my business. And I called him up and said, Dave, you know, I've got this great idea, but I don't know how to make it work. You know, how to build the web page, how to, you know, have the gift cards automatically go to people. And it's with Dave's hard work, all volunteer time. He's spent hours and hours putting this all together. And you know, we couldn't have done it without him. And so, you know, when you talk about, you know, how can people help, it doesn't have to be with money, and it doesn't have to be with our program. You can just be, you know, helping your next door neighbor, getting her groceries because she's elderly and it's hard for her to get out. Maybe she shouldn't be out and getting exposed. So there's lots of way to help in our community, and Kingston's just such a wonderful place. It's great to help.
Well, this is truly good news, Greg. Thanks again for joining me today.
It's my pleasure.